Victoria Vanderberg's red fingernails dug into Emma's arm hard enough to leave bruises. "I warned you." She hissed, her breath hot against Emma's ear as security guards dragged her toward the boardroom door. "A waitress playing dress-up. Did you really think you could take what's mine?" Across the room, Nathan Sterling stood frozen, his face a mask of betrayal. The man who had pulled Emma from poverty, who had saved her dying son, who had held her like she mattered, now looked at her like she was garbage. "Get her out of my building," Nathan said. His voice was ice. "I never want to see her face again." Victoria smiled. The kind of smile a snake makes before it swallows its prey whole. But Victoria had made one fatal mistake. She had forgotten about the secret note that started everything. The one hidden under a billionaire's dinner plate. The one with 7 words that would bring her entire empire crashing down. Before we begin this incredible journey, please subscribe to my channel and stay with Emma until the very end. Comment below and tell me which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels across the world. Now let me take you back to the night everything changed. Emma Hartwell's feet were bleeding through her shoes when Victoria Vanderberg walked into La Maison d'Or for the first time. Emma didn't know who she was then. Just another rich woman in a red dress, dripping diamonds, laughing too loud at something her companion said. The woman glanced at Emma as she passed the way you might glance at a stain on the carpet. Then she was gone, disappearing into the private dining room with a man who wasn't her fiancé. Emma would remember that look later. The dismissal. The absolute certainty that Emma was nothing. But right now, Emma had bigger problems. "Table 7 needs water," Henderson barked. "Move it, Hartwell. You're not paid to stand around bleeding." Emma grabbed the silver pitcher. "Yes, Mr. Henderson." 12 hours. She had been on her feet for 12 hours. The discount shoes she bought had rubbed her heels raw somewhere around hour 9. Now the blood had soaked through her socks, and every step felt like walking on broken glass. She didn't stop. She couldn't. Her son Lucas was 5 years old. He had his father's brown eyes, the ones that crinkled when he smiled. He also had his father's heart condition. Hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a death sentence dressed up in medical terminology. Michael had died from it 3 years ago, collapsed while making Lucas breakfast, gone before the ambulance arrived. The doctors said Lucas had a chance. A surgery called the Fontan procedure could save him, give him a normal life, a long life. The surgery cost $150,000. Emma made $11 an hour plus tips. She poured water for the woman at table 7, the one with the diamond bracelet, who complained that the ice was melting too fast. She smiled. She apologized. She fetched fresh water with extra ice. Then Jessica appeared at her elbow. "Hey, Emma. Got a present for you." Jessica was 23, blonde, and mean in the way only pretty young women could be mean. She made more tips than anyone because she flirted with the businessmen and ignored anyone who looked like a poor tipper. "What do you want, Jess?" "VIP booth. Someone just sat down." Jessica's smile was poison. "Nathan Sterling." Emma's stomach dropped. Everyone knew Nathan Sterling. Tech billionaire. The man who had built Sterling Industries from nothing and crushed anyone who got in his way. The tabloids called him the Ice King of Wall Street. "Why aren't you taking him?" "Served him last month. Sent back a steak 3 times because the grill marks weren't symmetrical. Left 0 tip. Complained I breathed too loud." Jessica shoved a menu into Emma's hands. "He's all yours. Good luck." She walked away laughing. Emma looked at the VIP booth. Through the velvet curtains, she could see him. A dark silhouette. Still. Waiting. She thought about her bleeding feet. About the pharmacy notice in her apron pocket, the one that said "Final Notice" in red letters. About Lucas at home with Mrs. Chen probably coughing again because the humidifier broke and Emma couldn't afford a new one. She needed $400 by Friday for Lucas's medication. Today was Wednesday. She had made $40 in tips. Emma straightened her apron and walked toward the booth. Nathan Sterling didn't look up when she arrived. He was studying his phone, blue light carving shadows across a face that belonged on a magazine cover. Sharp jaw, dark hair, the kind of handsome that made women forget their own names. Then he looked at her. His eyes were gray, cold, empty of anything resembling warmth. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to La Maison d'Or. My name is Emma, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you with something to drink?" "Room temperature sparkling water," he said. His voice was flat, dead. "No ice, a slice of lemon with the rind removed." "The rind, sir?" "The yellow part. The oil adds bitterness. Is that going to be a problem?" Something snapped in Emma. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the blood pooling in her shoes. Maybe it was the way he looked at her like she was furniture. "Not at all, Mr. Sterling. I'm quite skilled at removing bitterness." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise. Maybe interest. "Don't take too long. I have a call in 40 minutes. "Of course, sir." Emma walked to the bar. Her hands shook as she selected a lemon. She took a paring knife and carefully removed every trace of yellow rind, leaving only the pale flesh. It was a ridiculous request. A power play. The kind of thing rich men did to remind everyone of the natural order. But Emma jumped. She had to. For Lucas. She returned with the water, placed it precisely on a coaster. Nathan Sterling picked up the glass, examined the lemon slice against the candlelight, and took a sip. Acceptable. Emma let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Are you ready to order, Mr. Sterling?" "Coq au vin. Shallots instead of pearl onions. The sauce reduced an additional 5 minutes." Emma hesitated. Chef Pierre was famous for his temper. Asking him to change the recipe would be like asking Michelangelo to add a mustache to the Sistine Chapel. "Is there a problem?" "No, sir. I'll convey your request." She went to the kitchen. Pierre screamed. He threw a pan. He swore in French. But he made the dish. 20 minutes later, Emma placed the plate in front of Nathan Sterling. He took a bite, chewed, swallowed. Adequate. "Is there anything else I can get you?" "Yes, sit down." Emma blinked. "Sir." "The chair across from me. Sit in it." "Mr. Sterling, I can't. The restaurant doesn't allow—" "I don't care what the restaurant allows. It wasn't a request. It was an order." Emma sat. For a long moment he just looked at her, eating, watching, measuring. "You hate it here," he said finally. "I enjoy the service industry. Don't lie to me. I can spot a lie the way most people spot a red light." He set down his fork. "You hate that manager who yells at you. You hate those shoes destroying your feet. So why do you stay?" The truth came out before Emma could stop it. "I have a son, Lucas. He's 5. He has a heart condition, a bad one. He needs surgery, but it costs more than I'll make in 10 years. The insurance doesn't cover his medication. I work here because the tips are good, and the schedule lets me see him in the mornings. I stay because I don't have a choice." Nathan Sterling's expression didn't change. "So you're a charity case." The words hit like a slap. "Excuse me. You're working hard, but you're drowning. You think serving rich people chicken is going to save your son. You're relying on the kindness of strangers." He leaned forward. In business, relying on luck is a guaranteed path to failure. Something cracked inside Emma. The last thread of pretending to be okay. "I am not relying on luck," she said, her voice low and hard. "I work 2 jobs. I sleep 4 hours a night. I skip meals so my son can eat. I have sold everything I own except the clothes on my back and the bed he sleeps in. I am not asking for charity. I am fighting for my child's life." She stood up. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other tables to attend to." She walked away before he could see the tears. She hid in the storage room for a full minute, pressing her palms against her eyes, breathing until she was sure she wouldn't break. When she returned to the floor, the VIP booth was empty. Her heart stopped. He left without paying no. The leather bill folder sat on the table. She grabbed it with trembling hands. Subtotal $186.50. Tip $0. Total $186.50. A single dark line slashed through the tip section. 0. After the lemon rind. After the shallots. After making her bare her soul about her dying son. 0. Ouch. Jessica stood behind her grinning. Told you. The Ice King. 0 tip on $200. She plucked the receipt from Emma's hands. Maybe next time don't cry about your personal problems to customers. Hartwell. Henderson's voice cut across the restaurant. Clear that table. We've got a walk-in party of 4. Emma swallowed the scream building in her throat. She grabbed a bus tub and returned to the booth, stacked dishes, gathered napkins. She reached for the charger plate. Something white was underneath. Emma froze. She looked around. No one was watching. She lifted the plate and picked up the paper. Thick stationery. Expensive. Folded once with surgical precision. She opened it. 7 words in sharp, elegant handwriting. Emma, you claim you'll do whatever it takes. Prove it. Hudson River Warehouse. Pier 17. Midnight. Come alone. NS. What's that? Emma jumped. Jessica was right behind her. Nothing. Trash? He left trash. Typical. Jessica walked away. Emma stood frozen, the note burning in her hand. Pier 17. Midnight. It sounded like the beginning of a horror movie, the kind where the narrator says she was last seen leaving work at 11 p.m. But she thought about the 0 on the receipt, about the way Nathan Sterling had looked at her. Not with pity, not with dismissal. With something that looked almost like assessment. You claim you'll do whatever it takes. Prove it. Emma looked at her phone. A photo of Lucas, pale and thin, hooked up to his nebulizer. At 11:15, she stood outside La Maison door. The bus to her apartment left in 10 minutes. The bus to Pier 17 left in 5. Emma got on the bus to Pier 17. The Manhattan waterfront at midnight was another world. Fog rolled off the Hudson thick and gray. Emma pulled her thin coat tighter, but it didn't help. The cold had gotten into her bones. Pier 17 was massive. Concrete and corrugated metal. It looked dead in the darkness. But a single floodlight illuminated a side door, and parked beside it, engine running, was a black SUV with tinted windows. Every instinct screamed at her to run. She thought about Lucas. She kept walking. The window rolled down. A man with a thick neck and an earpiece looked at her. Name, Emma Hartwell. He spoke into his wrist. Packages here. He nodded at the door. Inside. Keep walking until you see the light. Emma pushed open the heavy door. The warehouse was dark, cavernous. Shipping containers stacked like metal mountains. But in the center, a pool of light. A folding table. 2 metal chairs. Nathan Sterling sat there reading, glasses perched on his nose sleeves rolled up. He didn't look up. You're 2 minutes early. If you're on time, you're late, Emma said. My father used to say that. Something flickered across his face. He removed his glasses. Sit. Emma sat. The metal chair was cold. Why am I here? I tested you tonight. I made impossible demands. I insulted your profession. I questioned your life. Most people would have crumbled or spit in my food. He reached into a briefcase and pulled out a stack of papers. You did neither. He dropped the papers on the table. This is my shipping division's manifest for the last quarter. We're hemorrhaging money. My CFO says fuel costs. My board says market fluctuation. I think they're lying. Why would they lie? Because someone is stealing from me. His eyes locked onto hers. You noticed the rind on a lemon in a dark restaurant. You noticed I was left-handed and placed my wine accordingly. You see what others miss. Find the error. 1 hour. If you find nothing, cab fare home. If you find the leak. He pulled out a checkbook. I write a check for your son's surgery tonight. Emma stopped breathing. How do you know about the surgery? I know everything, Emma. I ran a background check the moment you walked away from my table. He uncapped his pen. 1 hour. Clock starts now. Emma grabbed the papers. Numbers, dates, container IDs, weights, destinations. Most people would see chaos. Emma saw patterns. Container 405. Electronics. Departure 4,500 bulbs. Arrival 4,200 bulbs. Container 612. Textiles. Departure 2,000 bulbs. Arrival 1,850 bulbs. Container 891. Jewelry. Departure 800 bulbs. Arrival 752 bulbs. Every high-value shipment, a loss of 5 to 7%. Small enough to write off as shrinkage. But it wasn't random. She flipped back, looked at the signatures. Container 405. October 4th, M. Thornton. Container 612. October 12th, M. Thornton. Container 891. November 1st, M. Thornton. But here container 298. October 8th, J. Rodriguez. Weight discrepancy 0. Container 445. October 15th, J. Rodriguez. Weight discrepancy 0. Who is M. Thornton? Nathan went very still. Every shortage is signed by Mr. Thornton, Emma said, turning the papers. But J. Rodriguez shipments have no discrepancies. The weights match exactly. She grabbed a calculator. Average loss on Thornton shipments, 6.2%. Too consistent for accidents. She pointed to a column. The crane scale creates a secondary weight record. Crane weight matches heavy. Supervisor log matches light. Someone's skimming before the containers are sealed. Nathan's face had gone white. Who is M. Thornton? Marcus, Nathan whispered. Marcus Thornton. My brother-in-law. Silence. Emma had just accused a billionaire's family of theft. I could be wrong. How long did it take you? What? To find this? How long? 23 minutes. Nathan stood, walked around the table, stopped in front of her. My auditors looked at these numbers for 6 months, found nothing. You found it in 23 minutes. He wrote rapidly on the check, tore it out, held it up. Pay to the order of Emma Hartwell. Amount $200,000. Emma's hands shook so badly she could barely hold it. This is too much. The surgery is only $150. You save me $3 million a year. The extra is for the medication and a new apartment. That building is making your son sick. Tears streamed down Emma's face. Why are you doing this? Nathan was quiet for a long moment. 12 years ago I was you. Broke, desperate. Watching someone I loved die because I couldn't afford to save them. He looked away. My mother died in a hospital hallway waiting for a bed. I promised myself if I ever had the power to stop that from happening to someone else, I would. He looked back at her. But I need more than your gratitude. I need you. Me. Someone who sees what everyone misses. Someone not blinded by greed or loyalty to my family. His voice hardened. I'm surrounded by sharks. My CFO is incompetent or corrupt. My board only cares about their stock options. My fiancée is already planning how to spend my money when I'm dead. Your fiancée? Victoria Vanderberg. We're engaged. A business arrangement. He shrugged. She brings connections. I bring money. That sounds lonely. It is. He held out his hand. I want to hire you. Officially executive assistant. Unofficially my eyes and ears. You attend meetings. Watch. Listen. Tell me what I miss. Salary is $250,000. Full benefits. Best insurance money can buy. You and Lucas live in my penthouse guest wing. Live with you. Same building, not same bed. A ghost of a smile. I'm ruthless, not inappropriate. What's the catch? You quit the restaurant tonight, sign an NDA, and understand that my world is dangerous. There are people who would do anything to take what I have. Work for me, you become a target. Emma thought about Jessica laughing, Henderson screaming, her bleeding feet, Lucas wheezing in his bed. She took Nathan Sterling's hand. I accept. His grip was iron. Welcome to the Sterling Empire, Emma. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His expression changed, darkened. Problem? Emma asked. Victoria. He typed a quick response. She's on my yacht tonight. Wants to know why I missed dinner. You should call her. I should do a lot of things. He pocketed the phone. My driver will take you home. Pack what you need. A moving team will collect the rest tomorrow. Lucas's surgery is scheduled for next week at New York Presbyterian. The best pediatric cardiac surgeon in the country. Emma's knees almost buckled. Next week. No point waiting. Nathan picked up his briefcase. And Emma? Yes. Victoria doesn't know you exist yet. When she finds out... He paused. She won't be happy. She's been trying to put her own people in every position around me for years. You're going to be a problem for her. I can handle myself. I know. That's why I hired you. He walked toward the door, then stopped. Looked back. One more thing. The 0 tip tonight. I want you to know why I did it. Emma tensed. Why? Because a tip is for a servant. And the moment you pushed back, the moment you refused to let me make you small, you stopped being a servant. His gray eyes held hers. You became something else. I just had to be sure. Sure of what? That you were real, that you weren't performing, that you actually had fire in you. He almost smiled. You do. More than you know. Then he was gone. Emma stood alone in the warehouse holding a check for $200,000, her mind spinning. She didn't know that Victoria Vanderberg was at that exact moment looking at photos of Emma on Nathan's security feed. She didn't know that Victoria had already started making phone calls. She didn't know that in exactly 3 weeks, she would be dragged out of Sterling Tower by security guards while Victoria whispered poison in her ear. All Emma knew was that her son was going to live. For now, that was enough. But across the city on a yacht docked at Chelsea Piers, Victoria Vanderberg set down her champagne glass and smiled at the security footage on her laptop. Nathan had found someone new, someone who wasn't afraid of him, someone who might actually matter to him. Victoria picked up her phone and dialed. Marcus, it's me. We need to talk about your brother-in-law and the waitress he just hired. She paused, listening. No, not yet. First, I want to know everything about her. Every weakness, every fear, every person she loves. She looked at the image of Emma standing alone in the warehouse. Then we destroy her. 2 days later, Emma stood in the foyer of Sterling Tower's penthouse, her hand gripping Lucas's small fingers so tight her knuckles had turned white. Lucas looked up at her. Mommy, is this a castle? No, baby, it's just an apartment. It's bigger than our whole building. Emma didn't answer. He was right. The penthouse was larger than every apartment she had ever lived in combined. The ceiling stretched up forever. The windows looked out over all of Manhattan like the city was a toy someone had built just for Nathan Sterling's amusement. She felt like a fraud standing there in her discount store dress and her worn-out shoes. Mrs. Hartwell. Emma turned. A man in a crisp black suit stood behind her. Gray hair, perfect posture. The kind of face that had never shown surprise in its entire life. I'm Gregory, Mr. Sterling's household manager. I'll show you to the guest wing. Thank you. And this must be Lucas. Gregory's expression softened by exactly 1 degree. Welcome, young man. I understand you're quite fond of dinosaurs. Lucas's eyes went wide. How did you know that? Mr. Sterling mentioned it. He's had some things prepared for your room. Emma's throat tightened. Nathan had thought about Lucas, had remembered what a 5-year-old boy might like. It was such a small thing, but it cracked something open in her chest. Gregory led them through the penthouse. Emma tried not to stare at the art on the walls, the furniture that probably cost more than her yearly salary. The absolute silence of wealth that surrounded them. The guest wing had its own entrance, its own kitchen, its own everything. It was larger than any home Emma had ever known. Lucas's room had dinosaur bedding, a bookshelf full of picture books about T-Rexes and Triceratops, a stuffed Brachiosaurus almost as tall as he was. "Mommy," Lucas whispered. "Mommy, look." Emma knelt beside him. "I see it, baby." "Can I keep it?" "Yes, it's yours." Lucas threw his arms around the dinosaur and didn't let go for 10 minutes. That night, after Lucas was asleep, Emma found Nathan in his study. He was reading something on his tablet, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. "Lucas loves his room," Emma said from the doorway. Nathan looked up. "Good. You didn't have to do all that, the dinosaur stuff." "I wanted to." He set down the tablet. "How are you settling in?" "I keep waiting for someone to tell me this is a mistake, that I don't belong here." "You don't belong here, that's the point." Nathan gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." Emma sat. "Everyone in my life belongs here," Nathan said. "They went to the right schools, know the right people, speak the right language. They're all part of the same world, and they're all either stealing from me or waiting for their chance." He picked up his whiskey, swirled it, set it back down without drinking. "You're different. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't want anything except to keep your son alive. That makes you the only person I can trust. You don't know me." "I know you better than you think." He leaned forward. "I know you worked 60 hours a week for 3 years without missing a single day. I know you sold your wedding ring to pay for Lucas's first hospital stay. I know you haven't bought yourself new clothes in 2 years because every spare dollar goes to him." Emma's eyes burned. "You had no right to dig into my life like that." "You're right, I didn't." He met her gaze. "But I needed to know who you were before I let you into mine." "And what did you find?" "Someone real, someone who would do anything for the people she loves." His voice dropped. "Someone like me." They sat in silence for a long moment. "Lucas's surgery is in 5 days," Nathan said finally. "Dr. Morrison is the best in the country. He has a 94% success rate. And the other 6%? We're not going to think about that." Emma nodded. She couldn't think about it. If she started, she might never stop. "There's something else," Nathan said. "Victoria is coming tomorrow." Emma's stomach dropped. "Your fiancée." "She knows you're here. She's not happy." "I imagine she wouldn't be." "She's going to try to intimidate you, to make you feel small, to convince you that you don't belong." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Don't let her. I've dealt with worse than rich women who don't like me. Victoria isn't just a rich woman. She's dangerous. She wants this company. She wants everything I have, and she sees you as an obstacle. I'm just your assistant. You're the first person I've trusted in 5 years. She knows that, and it terrifies her." The next morning, Emma met Victoria Vanderberg. She was standing in the penthouse foyer when Emma came out of the guest wing wearing a white dress that probably cost more than Emma's entire wardrobe. Her blonde hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. Everything about her was polished and cold like a diamond. "So," Victoria said, looking Emma up and down, "you're the waitress." "I'm Emma Hartwell." "I know who you are. I know everything about you." Victoria smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Single mother, dead husband, dying child. Very tragic." Emma's blood turned to ice. "My son isn't dying." "Oh, of course. Nathan's paying for the surgery. How generous of him." Victoria took a step closer. "Tell me, Emma, what did you have to do to get a billionaire to write you a $200,000 check?" "I found a theft problem in his shipping division." "Is that what we're calling it?" Victoria laughed. "I've been in Nathan's life for 2 years. I've given him everything, and he's never once looked at me the way he looks at you. I don't know what you mean. Don't play stupid. It doesn't suit you. Victoria's voice dropped to a whisper. I've worked too hard and too long to let some waitress from Brooklyn take what's mine. Nathan is mine. This company is mine. This life is mine. You are a temporary distraction, a charity case. And when Nathan gets bored of his little project, you'll be back where you belong, serving food to people like me. Emma's hands were shaking, but she didn't look away. My son has surgery in 5 days, Emma said quietly. I don't have time for your games. I'm here to do a job. That's all. We'll see. Victoria turned and walked away, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Emma stood there for a long moment, her heart pounding. Then she went to work. For the next 4 days, Emma learned the Sterling Empire. She sat in meetings taking notes, watching faces. She learned to read the board members to see who was nervous, who was lying, who was planning something. Nathan watched her watching them. Harrison, Emma said after one meeting, the CFO. He wouldn't make eye contact when you asked about the Asia expansion. I noticed. And Mrs. Chen from legal. She kept looking at her phone under the table. Probably her daughter. She's in the hospital. You know that. I know everything about the people who work for me. Nathan gathered his papers. The difference is, you notice it without being told. That's the gift. On the 4th day, Lucas had his pre-surgery appointment. Emma sat in the waiting room at New York Presbyterian, holding Lucas's hand while he talked about the dinosaurs in the children's book a nurse had given him. Mommy, do you think they have dinosaurs in the surgery room? I don't think so, baby. That's sad. Dinosaurs would make everyone feel better. Dr. Morrison came out. He was younger than Emma expected, kind eyes, steady hands. Mrs. Hartwell, Lucas. He knelt down to Lucas's level. I hear you're a dinosaur expert. I know all of them, even the ones with long necks. Brachiosaurus. Yeah, how did you know? Lucky guess. Dr. Morrison smiled at Emma. He's strong. His numbers are good. I'm confident about tomorrow. Tomorrow. Emma had known it was coming, had counted the days. But hearing it out loud made it real in a way that stole her breath. He's going to be okay, Dr. Morrison said gently. I've done this surgery 300 times. Lucas is going to be one of my success stories. I can feel it. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat in Lucas's room watching him breathe, counting each rise and fall of his small chest, memorizing the curve of his cheek, the way his eyelashes fanned across his skin. You should sleep. Emma turned. Nathan stood in the doorway. I can't. I know. He walked in quietly, careful not to wake Lucas. I sat with my mother the night before she died. I didn't sleep either. That's not helping. Sorry, I'm not good at this. At what? Comfort, empathy, human connection. He sat down on the floor next to her chair. I'm good at business, at strategy, at destroying my enemies. But this... He gestured vaguely. I don't know how to do this. You're here, that's enough. They sat in silence, listening to Lucas breathe. He's going to be okay, Nathan said finally. You don't know that. No. But I've learned that hope is sometimes more useful than certainty. He looked at her. You taught me that. I taught you something. You came to a warehouse at midnight to meet a stranger who left you a $0 tip. Because you hoped it might save your son. His voice was soft. That's either stupidity or courage. I choose to believe it's courage. Emma felt tears sliding down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. Thank you, she whispered. For all of this. For Lucas. For everything. Don't thank me yet. He still has to survive the surgery. He will. How do you know? Because I have to believe it. Because if I don't, I'll fall apart. And I can't fall apart. He needs me." Nathan was quiet for a long moment. "My mother used to say that," he said finally. "She worked 3 jobs to keep me fed. Never complained, never stopped. She said she couldn't fall apart because I needed her." He swallowed hard. "She fell apart the day she died. I found her on the kitchen floor. She'd had a stroke. She was conscious, but she couldn't speak. I called 911. They came, but there weren't enough beds. So she waited in a hallway for 6 hours, while her brain slowly died." Nathan. "That's why I do this. Why I built Sterling Industries. Why I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes." His voice cracked. "Because I never want to be helpless like that again. I never want to watch someone I love die because some bureaucrat decided there weren't enough resources." Emma reached out and took his hand. He didn't pull away. "Lucas isn't going to die in a hallway," Emma said. "Thanks to you. Thanks to you. You found Marcus. You saved the company millions. I got lucky. There's no such thing as luck. Only preparation meeting opportunity." He squeezed her hand. "You were prepared, Emma. You've been preparing your whole life. You just didn't know what for." They sat there until dawn, holding hands, watching Lucas breathe. The surgery took 7 hours. Emma sat in the waiting room the entire time. Nathan sat beside her. He canceled every meeting, ignored every phone call, just sat. Victoria called twice. He didn't answer. At hour 3, Emma started pacing. At hour 5, she started praying. At hour 7, Dr. Morrison walked out. Emma couldn't read his face. Her heart stopped. "Mrs. Hartwell, is he—" "Lucas is out of surgery. Everything went perfectly. Better than perfectly." Dr. Morrison smiled. "He's a fighter, your son. He's going to have a completely normal life." Emma's legs gave out. Nathan caught her, held her up while she sobbed into his chest. Didn't let go until she could stand on her own. "Can I see him?" "He's in recovery. Give him an hour, then you can go in." Emma turned to Nathan. "He's okay. He's going to be okay." "I told you." "You don't get to say I told you so. I'm a billionaire. I get to say whatever I want." Emma laughed. It came out half sob, half joy. "Thank you. Thank you." "Stop thanking me." "Never." She hugged him. Right there in the hospital waiting room, wrapped her arms around him and held on like he was the only solid thing in a spinning world. He hugged her back. Neither of them saw Victoria standing at the end of the hallway, watching them with eyes full of poison. Lucas recovered faster than anyone expected. 3 days later, he was sitting up in bed, demanding dinosaur chicken nuggets and asking when he could go home. "Soon, baby," Emma said. "The doctors want to make sure you're strong enough." "I'm strong. Feel my muscles." He flexed his tiny arm. "Wow, so strong." "Mommy." "Yes." "Is the man with the sad eyes going to visit again?" Emma paused. "What man?" "The tall one. He sat with you when I was sleeping. He looked sad." Nathan had visited. Every day. But Emma hadn't realized Lucas was awake. "He's a friend," Emma said. "His name is Nathan. I like him. He doesn't smile very much, but his eyes are nice." Out of the mouths of babes. 1 week later, Lucas was released from the hospital. Emma carried him into the penthouse guest wing. Gregory had prepared a welcome home celebration. Balloons, dinosaur-shaped cookies, a new stuffed pterodactyl to join the Brachiosaurus. "Mommy," Lucas gasped. "Look at everything." "I see it, baby." Nathan stood in the corner watching, trying to stay out of the way, but Lucas spotted him. "Nathan?" Lucas wiggled out of Emma's arms and ran to him, threw his tiny arms around Nathan's legs. "Thank you for my pterodactyl." Nathan looked down at the small boy hugging him. His expression was completely unreadable. Then slowly, he knelt down. "You're welcome, Lucas. I'm glad you're feeling better. Are you going to stay for cookies? I don't really eat. Please, Mommy says cookies taste better when you share them. Nathan looked at Emma. She shrugged helplessly. 1 cookie, Nathan said. 3 cookies. 2. Deal. Lucas grabbed Nathan's hand and dragged him toward the kitchen. Emma watched them go. Something warm bloomed in her chest. Something dangerous. Don't she told herself? Don't fall for him. He's your boss. He's engaged. This isn't a fairy tale. But watching Nathan Sterling let a 5-year-old boy lead him around by the hand, watching his cold mask crack just a little, watching him smile for the first time since she'd met him. It was hard not to fall. 2 weeks later, the charity gala happened. The Metropolitan Museum of Art. Everyone who mattered in New York would be there. Investors, competitors, the entire board of Sterling Industries. Victoria would be there. You don't have to come, Nathan said. You can stay with Lucas. Mrs. Chen is watching him. He'll be fine. Emma straightened her dress. It was black. Simple. Elegant. Gregory had helped her choose it. Besides, you said you needed your eyes and ears. I did. Then let me do my job. The gala was overwhelming. Crystal chandeliers. Women in gowns that cost more than houses. Men in tuxedos talking about money like it was oxygen. Emma felt like a fraud. Like everyone could see through her dress to the waitress underneath. Stop fidgeting, Nathan murmured. You belong here. I don't. You do, because I say you do. He placed his hand on the small of her back. Now go, mingle. Listen, tell me what you hear. Emma took a glass of sparkling water and disappeared into the crowd. She made herself invisible. It was easy. She'd spent years being invisible to rich people. They talked around her like she wasn't there. She heard things. Sterling stock is going to tank when the merger news breaks. Victoria's been meeting with the board members, privately. She wants a vote. I heard Marcus is planning a comeback. Victoria's backing him. Emma froze at that last one. Marcus, Nathan's brother-in-law, the one who had been stealing millions. Nathan had fired him. But Victoria was backing his comeback. She moved closer to the group of men talking. Victoria's got 3 board votes already. She needs 2 more to push through a no-confidence motion. Against Sterling, she's his fiancée. Was his fiancée? Word is they're finished. She just hasn't made it public yet. Emma's heart was pounding. She turned to find Nathan and ran straight into someone. Watch it. She looked up. A man with a red face and small eyes was glaring at her. I apologize. Wait. I know you. His eyes narrowed. You're the waitress from La Maison d'Or, the one with the sick kid. Emma's blood ran cold. Mr. Colburn. What the hell are you doing here? Did you sneak in? He grabbed her arm. Security. People were turning to look. Emma tried to pull away. Let go of me. I'm doing Sterling a favor, getting the trash out of his party. Let go of her. Nathan's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Colburn released Emma immediately. Sterling, You were just assaulting my executive assistant in front of 200 witnesses. Nathan stepped between them. Touch her again, and I'll buy your company just to fire you. Colburn went pale. I didn't know. Now you know. Get out of my sight. Colburn disappeared into the crowd. Nathan turned to Emma. Are you okay? Fine. But Nathan, I heard something about Victoria. Not here. He took her arm. Come with me. They stepped onto a balcony. The city glittered below them like a sea of stars. Tell me. Emma told him everything. The board votes. The no-confidence motion. Marcus's comeback. Victoria orchestrating all of it. Nathan listened in silence. His face was a mask. When Emma finished, he didn't speak for a long moment. How long have you known? Emma asked. I suspected. I didn't want to believe it. Nathan, she's trying to take everything from you. I know. What are you going to do? He turned to look at her. His gray eyes were cold again, but not toward her. Towards something else. Someone else. I'm going to let her try. What? Victoria thinks she's smarter than me. She thinks she can manipulate the board, use Marcus steal my company while I'm distracted. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. She's wrong. I've been building a case against Marcus for months. Financial records, witness statements, enough to send him to prison. And Victoria's name is all over it. You knew she was involved. I suspected. Now I have proof. Then why haven't you stopped her? Because I needed to know how deep it went, who else was involved, how many board members were compromised. He looked at Emma. I was going to spring the trap next month, but now... Now what? Now I'm worried she'll do something desperate, something I can't predict. His jaw tightened. She saw us in the hospital. When Lucas came out of surgery, she saw me holding you. Emma's heart stuttered. What does that mean? It means she knows I care about you, and Victoria destroys the things I care about. Nathan, I should have kept you at a distance. Treated you like any other employee, but I couldn't. He stepped closer. I can't. They were inches apart. Emma could feel the heat of him, could see the pulse jumping in his throat. This is a bad idea, Emma whispered. I know. You're engaged. Not for long. I work for you. I'll fire you. Nathan, tell me to stop. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me and I'll walk away. Emma couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The door to the balcony opened. Victoria stood there, silhouetted against the light from inside. Her face was twisted with fury. Well, she said softly. Isn't this cozy? Nathan didn't step away from Emma. Victoria. Save it. I'm not an idiot. Victoria walked toward them, her heels clicking on the stone. I've been watching you two for weeks. The way you look at her, the way she looks at you. Did you think I wouldn't notice? We were just talking. Don't lie to me, Nathan. I've earned better than that. Victoria's voice was ice. 2 years. I gave you 2 years of my life. I introduced you to everyone who matters. I made you acceptable to society. And this is how you repay me. With a waitress. Emma is my assistant. Emma is your replacement for me. Don't pretend otherwise. Victoria turned to Emma. Congratulations. You've done what dozens of women have tried to do. You've made Nathan Sterling feel something. Enjoy it while it lasts. Victoria. Emma started. Don't speak to me. Victoria's eyes were blazing. You think you've won? You think this ends with you riding off into the sunset with my fiancé and your little miracle child? She laughed. This is just the beginning. I'm going to destroy you, Emma Hartwell. I'm going to take everything you care about and burn it to the ground, and Nathan isn't going to be able to stop me. That's enough, Nathan said quietly. Or what? You'll fire me? I don't work for you, darling. I work with you, and I have contracts. Ironclad contracts that guarantee me a seat at the table, no matter what happens between us. Victoria smiled. You should have read the fine print before you proposed. She turned and walked away. At the door, she paused. Oh, and Nathan? The board vote is happening next week. Not next month. I moved it up. She looked over her shoulder. Sleep tight. She disappeared inside. Nathan's hands were shaking. Emma had never seen him anything less than controlled. But now he looked like a man watching his world collapse. She can't really... She can. She has. Nathan's voice was hollow. I underestimated her. I thought I had more time. What do we do? I don't know. He looked at Emma. But I know one thing. She's going to come for you now, for you and Lucas. She knows you're my weakness. Let her come. I'm not afraid of her. You should be. Nathan took her hands. Promise me something. What? Promise me that no matter what happens, no matter what Victoria does, you won't give up. You won't let her win. I promise. And promise me you'll protect Lucas, above everything, above me, above the company, above all of it. Emma squeezed his hands. I promise. Nathan nodded. Something in his face shifted, hardened. Then we fight, he said. Victoria wants a war. She's going to get one. 3 days after the gala, Emma woke to the sound of her phone ringing. It was 5:47 in the morning. The sun wasn't up yet. Lucas was still sleeping in the next room. The caller ID said Gregory. Hello? Mrs. Hartwell, Mr. Sterling needs you in his office immediately. Now it's not even 6. Immediately, Mrs. Hartwell. The line went dead. Emma's stomach twisted. Something was wrong. Gregory was always polite, always professional. The coldness in his voice was new. She checked on Lucas. Still asleep, his arm wrapped around the stuffed brachiosaurus Nathan had given him. She called Mrs. Chen, who agreed to come early. 20 minutes later, Emma walked into Nathan's office. He wasn't alone. 2 security guards stood by the door. Victoria sat in one of the leather chairs, her legs crossed, a tablet in her hands. Her smile was the smile of a cat that had finally caught the mouse. And Nathan. Nathan stood behind his desk, his face carved from stone. He didn't look at Emma when she entered. He looked at a point somewhere above her head, like he couldn't bear to meet her eyes. Nathan. What's going on? Sit down, Emma. His voice. It was the voice from that first night at the restaurant. Cold. Empty. The voice of the Ice King. I don't understand. I said sit down. Emma sat. Victoria handed the tablet to Nathan. He looked at it for a long moment, his jaw clenching and unclenching. Last night at 3:17 a.m., someone accessed the Sterling Industries secure server. They downloaded confidential files related to the Omnicorp merger, the bid price, the negotiation strategy, everything. Okay, Emma said slowly. That sounds serious. But what does it have to do with me? Nathan finally looked at her. The pain in his eyes hit her like a physical blow. The access was from your login credentials, Emma. Your IP address. Your workstation in the guest wing. That's impossible. I was asleep at 3 a.m. I didn't... The files were sent to a secure Dropbox. A Dropbox registered to an offshore shell company. Nathan's voice cracked. This morning, $50,000 was wired to your personal bank account from that same company. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. I don't have $50,000. I've never had $50,000. Nathan, someone is framing me. That's exactly what I would say. Victoria purred. If I had been caught selling corporate secrets. I didn't do this. The evidence says otherwise. Victoria pulled out a photograph and slid it across the desk. Care to explain this? Emma looked at the photo. Her heart stopped. It was a picture of her in Central Park. 3 days ago, she was handing something to a man. That's my cousin Michael. He was returning a car seat I lent him. How convenient. Your cousin. Victoria's smile widened. Except that man isn't your cousin Emma. His name is David Morrison. He's the head of acquisitions at Omnicorp. No, that's Michael. I've known him my whole life. Then explain why David Morrison's employee ID matches the face in this photograph. Emma grabbed the photo, looked at it again. The man did look like her cousin. Same height, same build. But the angle was wrong. The lighting was wrong. You couldn't clearly see his face. This is a setup. Victoria, you did this. You framed me. How dare you? Victoria stood up, her face a mask of outrage. I am trying to protect this company. I am trying to protect the man I love from a con artist who has been manipulating him since the moment she walked into his life. Nathan. Emma stood up too. Her hands were shaking. Nathan, look at me. You know me. You know I wouldn't do this. Nathan didn't respond. Nathan, please. Think about this. The timing. The gala. Victoria threatened me 3 days ago, and now suddenly there's evidence that I'm a spy. You can't believe this is a coincidence. I don't know what to believe anymore. Yes, you do. You know who I am. You sat with me while Lucas was in surgery. You held my hand. You told me about your mother." Something flickered in Nathan's eyes. Pain. Doubt. "She's manipulating you, Nathan." Victoria moved to stand beside him, placing her hand on his arm. "That's what she does. She finds wealthy men, and she tells them sad stories about sick children, and they give her money. I had her investigated. This isn't the first time she's done this." "That's a lie." "Is it? Tell me, Emma, before Nathan? How did you pay for Lucas's first hospital stay? You told Nathan you sold your wedding ring, but I checked. You were never married. There was no ring to sell." The room tilted. Emma felt like she was falling. "I was married. Michael Hartwell. He died 3 years ago." "There's no death certificate for a Michael Hartwell in New York State. No marriage license either." Victoria's voice was triumphant. "You invented a dead husband for sympathy. What else did you invent? Is Lucas even really sick? Or is that just another part of the con?" "My son almost died. He just had heart surgery. You know he did." "I know you've been living in Nathan's penthouse, eating his food, wearing clothes he paid for, and now $50,000 mysteriously appears in your bank account the same night confidential files are stolen." Victoria turned to Nathan. "Darling, I know this is hard, but you have to see the truth. She used you. She used your guilt about your mother to get close to you. And when she had access to your most sensitive information, she sold it to your competitors." Nathan was silent. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. "Nathan, please. I didn't do this. I would never do this. After everything you've done for Lucas, don't." Nathan's voice was barely a whisper. "Don't use your son to manipulate me." "I'm not manipulating you. I'm telling you the truth." "The truth." Nathan finally moved. He walked around the desk, stopped in front of Emma. His eyes were red. "The truth is that I trusted you. I let you into my home, into my company, into my life. I told you things I've never told anyone. And you—" His voice broke. "I thought you were different. I thought you were the one honest person in a city of liars. But you're worse than all of them, because you made me believe it. You made me believe in you. Nathan, get out. Please, just listen. Get out." The security guard stepped forward. "You're fired," Nathan said. His voice was dead. "Security will escort you off the premises. You have 1 hour to pack your things. If you're not gone by then, I'll have you arrested for corporate espionage." "What about Lucas? He's still recovering. The insurance—" "You should have thought about that before you betrayed me." The guards grabbed Emma's arms. "Nathan, please. Victoria is lying. She set this up. The board vote is in 4 days. She needs you distracted. She needs you to push away everyone who cares about you. That's what this is. Can't you see that—" Nathan turned his back. "Get her out of here." As the guards dragged Emma toward the door, Victoria stepped close. "I told you," she whispered, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "I told you I would destroy you." She winked, a slow, deliberate wink. Emma screamed. "Nathan. Nathan. She's lying. Look at her. Look at her face. She's enjoying this." But Nathan wouldn't turn around. He stood at the window, his back to her, his shoulders shaking. The guards pulled Emma through the door. The last thing she saw before it closed was Victoria placing her hand on Nathan's shoulder, comforting him, like a snake coiling around its prey. The guards dumped Emma outside the Sterling Tower service entrance at 7:23 a.m. She stood on the sidewalk, her mind reeling, her heart shattered. It was starting to rain. She had no umbrella, no coat, no money. The $50,000 in her account was frozen. She'd discovered that when she tried to buy a subway ticket and her card was declined. She had nothing, except Lucas. Lucas. Emma started running. The guest wing. Lucas was still in the guest wing. Mrs. Chen was watching him. But if Victoria had Emma thrown out, what would stop her from Emma? Burst through the side entrance of Sterling Tower. The guard at the desk stood up. Ma'am, you're not allowed in here. My son is upstairs. Please. I have orders. He's 5 years old. He just had heart surgery. Please. The guard hesitated. Emma didn't wait. She ran for the elevator. Ma'am, stop. She punched the button for the penthouse. The doors closed just as the guard reached them. The elevator rose. 20 floors. 30. 40. Emma's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The doors opened. She sprinted to the guest wing. Lucas! Lucas! The door was open. She burst inside. Mrs. Chen was sitting on the couch, her face pale. Mrs. Chen, where's Lucas? They took him. Emma's world stopped. What? 20 minutes ago, 2 women came. They said they were from Child Protective Services. They had paperwork. Mrs. Chen was crying. I didn't want to let them take him, but they said if I didn't, they'd have me arrested. Emma, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Emma couldn't breathe. Child Protective Services. Why would CPS take my son? They said there was a report, anonymous, that you were living in a home with a man who wasn't your husband, that you were neglecting Lucas, that you were... Mrs. Chen's voice broke. They said you were using him to extort money from wealthy men. Victoria. Victoria had called CPS. Victoria had taken her son. Emma grabbed her phone, dialed Nathan's number. It went straight to voicemail. She dialed again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. She threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. Emma, Mrs. Chen said, what are you going to do? Emma stood in the center of the room shaking. Her son was gone. Her job was gone. Her reputation was destroyed. The man she trusted had turned his back on her. And Victoria Vanderberg was probably sipping champagne right now, celebrating her victory. Everything Emma had fought for. Everything she had sacrificed. Everything she had built. Gone. Emma closed her eyes. She thought about giving up, just lying down on the floor and letting the world crush her. It would be so easy, so peaceful. Then she thought about Lucas. His face when he couldn't breathe. His eyes when the nebulizer finally kicked in. His voice asking her, Mommy, am I going to be okay? She had promised him he would be okay. She had promised Nathan she would never give up. Emma opened her eyes. I'm going to get my son back, she said. And then I'm going to destroy Victoria Vanderberg. How? You have nothing. I have the truth. The truth doesn't matter when everyone believes the lies. Then I'll make them believe the truth. Emma picked up the pieces of her broken phone. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. Victoria made a mistake. She thinks she's won. She thinks I'm going to crawl away and disappear, but she forgot something. What? I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a society princess. I don't have lawyers or connections or power. Emma looked at Mrs. Chen. But I spent 5 years as a waitress. I learned how to watch people. I learned how to notice details. And I noticed something at the gala that Victoria doesn't know I noticed. What did you notice? The courier receipt. Mrs. Chen looked confused. What courier receipt? Emma's mind was racing. 3 weeks ago, when she was studying the shipping manifests, she had made copies of everything. Every suspicious document. Every unusual expense. It was a habit from her couponing days always keep the receipts. Those copies were still in her room. Victoria thought she had destroyed all the evidence. But Victoria didn't know about the copies. Victoria didn't know that Emma had been studying her expense reports for weeks. And in those expense reports, Emma had seen something. A payment to a courier service. On a day Victoria claimed she was in Los Angeles for a charity event. The courier service was local. New York. The package was sent to Omnicorp headquarters. Victoria had been communicating with Omnicorp for weeks. Not Emma. Victoria. Emma just had to prove it. I need to get into the warehouse, Emma said. What warehouse? Pier 17, the paper archives. The digital logs can be faked, but the physical shipping records can't. If Victoria sent anything through Nathan's logistics division, there will be a paper trail. How are you going to get in? You've been fired. I know someone who might help. Emma dialed a number. It rang 3 times. Hello. Jimmy. It's Emma Hartwell. I need a favor. Jimmy Rodriguez was the loading supervisor at Pier 17. The one whose signature appeared on all the legitimate shipments. The one who had helped Emma find Marcus's theft. Emma, I heard what happened. Everyone's talking about it. They're saying you stole company secrets. I didn't. I was framed. Victoria Vanderberg set me up. Can you prove it? I can if you let me into the archives. Silence on the line. Jimmy, please. They took my son. CPS came this morning and took Lucas. I need to find evidence that Victoria is the real thief, or I'm going to lose him forever. More silence. Then, the side gate. 1 hour. I'll leave it unlocked. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Don't thank me yet. If anyone finds out I helped you, I'm finished. I won't forget this. Emma hung up. Mrs. Chen was staring at her. You're really going to do this? I don't have a choice. What do you want me to do? Emma thought for a moment. Go to the hospital. New York Presbyterian. Find Dr. Morrison. Tell him what happened. Tell him CPS took Lucas. He treated Lucas. He knows I'm not an abusive mother. Maybe he can help. And if he can't, then at least someone will know the truth. Emma hugged Mrs. Chen. Thank you for everything. Be careful, Emma. I will. But Emma knew careful wouldn't be enough. She needed to be fast. She needed to be smart. And she needed to be lucky. Because the board vote was in 4 days. And if Victoria succeeded, Nathan would lose everything. His company, his reputation, his future. Emma would lose Lucas, and Victoria would win. The warehouse at Pier 17 looked different in daylight. Smaller, less intimidating. Just a building full of shipping containers and broken dreams. Jimmy was waiting at the side gate, smoking a cigarette. You've got 1 hour, he said. After that, I can't help you. 1 hour is all I need. The archives are in the basement, same as before. But Emma, he grabbed her arm. Be careful. There are cameras everywhere. If security sees you, I know. I'll be quick. Emma slipped through the gate. The basement was cold, dark. Rows of filing cabinets stretched out before her like soldiers standing at attention. She had 1 hour to find proof that Victoria was a liar. She started with the courier logs. Every package that went through Sterling Industries was logged. Sender, recipient, contents, recipient. Date. It was a compliance requirement. Something the lawyers insisted on after a lawsuit 3 years ago. Emma found the log for the date on Victoria's expense report. The day she claimed to be in Los Angeles. She ran her finger down the list of shipments. Local delivery. Local delivery. International. Local. Local. There. February 14th. Sender Vanderberg. Recipient Omnicorp Legal Department. Contents documents. Method private courier. Victoria had sent something to Omnicorp 2 weeks ago, long before the files were supposedly stolen from Emma's computer. But that wasn't enough. Emma needed to know what was in that package. She pulled the file. Inside was a receipt, handwritten notes from the courier, and a tracking number. Emma photographed everything with her cracked phone. Then she moved to the next cabinet. The bank transfer. The $50,000 that appeared in her account. The money had to come from somewhere. If she could trace it back to Victoria. She pulled Victoria's financial records. Not the official ones, those would be locked away. But the expense reports, the petty cash withdrawals, the corporate card statements. There. February 18th. Wire transfer authorization. Amount $50,000. Authorized by E. Sterling. Nathan's signature. Emma's heart sank. It looked legitimate. Nathan had authorized the transfer. But wait. She looked at the timestamp. 4:17 a.m. Nathan was in bed at 4:17 a.m. Emma knew because she had heard him come home from the office at midnight. His light had gone out by 12:30. So who was awake at 4:17 a.m. using Nathan's credentials? Emma pulled the security logs, the ones that tracked keycard swipes throughout the building. 4:15 a.m. Keycard access. Nathan Sterling. Location, the Sovereign. The yacht. Nathan's yacht was docked at Chelsea Piers. But Nathan hadn't been on the yacht. He'd been in the penthouse. Who had access to Nathan's keycard? Who was staying on the yacht while her townhouse was being renovated? Victoria. Victoria had been on the yacht. Victoria had access to Nathan's office. Victoria could have taken his keycard, gone to the yacht, and authorized the transfer from there, making it look like Nathan was responsible. But the IP address. The files were sent from Emma's computer, from the guest wing, unless they weren't. Emma's mind was racing. Victoria was smart enough to fake an IP address. Maybe, but there had to be a physical record somewhere. The building had a closed-circuit security system, separate from the main network. It recorded keycard swipes to every door. If Emma could get access to that system, she could prove she never left her room at 3 a.m. But that system was in the penthouse, in Nathan's office, and Emma had been banned from the building. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. They're moving Lucas. Foster care placement hearing tomorrow at 2 p.m. Family Court 60 Lafayette Street. Tomorrow. She had less than 24 hours to prove her innocence or lose her son forever. Emma grabbed the files she had photographed. The courier receipt, the bank transfer timestamp, the security log showing Nathan's keycard at the yacht. It was circumstantial, but it was something. Now she just needed to get into Nathan's office, and she only knew one person who might let her in. Gregory answered on the second ring. Mrs. Hartwell, I was told not to take your calls. Gregory, please. I need your help. I'm sorry. I can't. They took Lucas. CPS took my son. They're putting him in foster care tomorrow unless I can prove I'm innocent. Silence. Gregory, you've known me for 3 weeks. You've seen me with Lucas. You've seen me with Nathan. Do you really believe I'm a corporate spy? More silence. Then, no, I don't. Then help me. Please. I need to get into the penthouse. Into Nathan's office. There's a security system there that can prove I never left my room the night the files were stolen. If I let you in and anyone finds out, I know. I'm asking you to risk everything. I know it's not fair, but I don't have anyone else. Gregory was quiet for so long, Emma thought he had hung up. Then, service entrance, midnight. I'll leave the door unlocked. The security system is in Mr. Sterling's private study. Password is his mother's birthday, March 17, 1952. Thank you, Gregory. Don't thank me, Mrs. Hartwell. Just prove them wrong. He hung up. Emma looked at her phone. It was 11:47 a.m. She had 12 hours until midnight, 12 hours to prepare, 12 hours until she broke into a billionaire's penthouse, and less than 24 hours to save her son. The hours crawled by. Emma found a cheap motel near the courthouse, paid cash. Mrs. Chen had pressed $200 into her hand before she left. The room was small and smelled like mildew, but it had a door that locked and a bed that was almost clean. She spread her evidence out on the bed. The courier receipt proving Victoria sent documents to Omnicore 2 weeks ago. The bank transfer timestamp showing the money was authorized at 4:17 a.m. from the yacht. The security log showing Nathan's keycard at the yacht at the same time. It wasn't enough. Any good lawyer could argue that Nathan was on the yacht, that he authorized the transfer himself, that the courier documents were legitimate business. She needed the closed-circuit footage, needed to prove she was in her room at 3 a.m. when the files were supposedly sent. And she needed to find out what Victoria actually sent to Omnicorp. Emma opened her laptop, one of the few things the guards had let her take, and searched for the courier company on Victoria's receipt. Manhattan Express Couriers, a small local company, the kind that rich people used when they wanted something hand-delivered and didn't want a record. But there was always a record, somewhere. Emma called the number. Manhattan Express, how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling about a delivery that was made on February 14th. I'm from Sterling Industries. We need a copy of the delivery confirmation for our records. I'll need the tracking number. Emma read it off the receipt. One moment, please. Hold music. Terrible hold music. The longest 3 minutes of Emma's life. Ma'am, I have that delivery here. Sender was Victoria Vanderberg. Recipient was David Morrison at Omnicorp. Contents listed as hard drive. Signature confirmation shows Mr. Morrison received it at 10:47 a.m. Hard drive. Victoria had sent a hard drive to Omnicorp 2 weeks before the files were supposedly stolen from Emma's computer. Can you email me a copy of that confirmation? I'll need authorization from the sender. I am the sender, Victoria Vanderberg. I'll need you to verify the account password. Emma thought fast. I'm sorry, I'm traveling and I don't have that information with me. Can you verify a different way? Last 4 of the credit card on file. That would work. Emma had Victoria's expense reports. She'd photographed everything in the basement. She scrolled through the images on her cracked phone. Found the corporate card number Victoria used for the courier. Last 4 digits are 7829. That matches. I'll email the confirmation to the address on file. Actually, can you send it to a different address? My assistant will need it. Of course. What's the email? Emma gave her personal email. Sent. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, thank you. You've been very helpful. Emma hung up. Checked her email. The confirmation was there. She opened it. Sender Victoria Vanderberg. Contents. Hard drive 1. Delivery method. Hand delivery signature required. Recipient signature David Morrison. Victoria had physically sent a hard drive to Omnicorp's head of acquisitions. That hard drive probably contained the same files that were supposedly stolen from Emma's computer, which meant Victoria had the information all along. She didn't need to steal it. She already had it. The theft from Emma's computer wasn't real. It was theater, a performance designed to frame Emma and distract Nathan. But Emma still needed proof that she didn't send the files. Proof that she was asleep in her room at 3 a.m. And that proof was in Nathan's office. At 11:52 p.m., Emma stood outside Sterling Tower's service entrance. The door was unlocked, just like Gregory promised. She slipped inside. The building was quiet, empty. The cleaning crews had finished hours ago. Security made rounds every 30 minutes, but Gregory had texted her their schedule. She had 12 minutes to get to the penthouse. The service elevator was slow. Too slow. Emma counted the floors as they passed. 10, 20, 30. The doors opened on the penthouse level. Gregory was waiting. Quickly, he whispered. Mr. Sterling is in his bedroom. He's been drinking. He might not hear you, but we can't take chances. Where's Victoria? On the yacht. She's been there all day, celebrating. Of course she was. Gregory led Emma through the darkened penthouse. Past the living room where she had first met Victoria. Past the kitchen where Lucas had made Nathan eat dinosaur cookies. Past the door to Nathan's bedroom. A light was on inside. Emma could see the shadow of someone moving. Nathan. So close. If she knocked on that door, told him everything. Don't. Gregory whispered, reading her thoughts. He won't listen, not tonight. He's been drinking since you left. I've never seen him like this. Emma's heart cracked. She kept walking. Nathan's private study was at the end of the hall. Gregory unlocked it with his master key. The security system is in the cabinet behind the desk. Password is March 17, 1952. I remember. You have 10 minutes before the next security round. I'll watch the door. Emma entered the study. Nathan's world. Books on every wall. Photos of buildings he had built. A picture of his mother on the desk. And in the cabinet behind the desk, a computer. The closed-circuit security system. Emma typed in the password. The system came alive. Cameras throughout the building. Every hallway. Every entrance. Every door. She found the footage for February 18th, 3:00 a.m. Guest wing hallway. She watched herself walk into her room at 10:47 p.m. The door closed. She didn't come out. At 3:17 a.m., when the files were supposedly being sent, Emma was still in her room. The camera showed an empty hallway. No one entered. No one left. But wait. She scrolled to a different camera. The main penthouse hallway. 3:15 a.m. A figure walked past, heading toward Nathan's office. Emma zoomed in. Victoria. Victoria Vanderberg, wearing a dark robe, walking through the penthouse at 3:15 a.m. She entered Nathan's office, stayed for 4 minutes, then left. That was when the files were sent. From Nathan's office, using Emma's credentials. Victoria had spoofed Emma's IP address, made it look like the files came from the guest wing. But the physical footage proved Victoria was the one in Nathan's office. Victoria was the spy, not Emma. Emma photographed the screen, every frame, every timestamp, every damning second of Victoria Vanderberg walking through that hallway. Emma. Gregory's voice was urgent. Security, coming up. You need to go now. Emma grabbed her phone, ran for the door. Gregory pointed to a back stairwell. Service exit, 3 floors down. Go. Gregory, thank you. Go. Emma ran, 3 floors, down the stairs, through a door, into the cold night air. She didn't stop running until she was 6 blocks away. She leaned against a wall, gasping for breath, her heart pounding. She had it. She had proof that Victoria was the real traitor. The courier receipt, the bank transfer from the yacht, the security footage. Now she just had to get it to someone who would believe her. The board vote was in 3 days. Lucas's hearing was in 14 hours. Emma pulled out her phone and dialed a number she had memorized weeks ago. It rang twice. Hello. Mr. Sterling. This is Emma Hartwell. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I have evidence that your fiancée is trying to destroy your company, and I need your help. Nathan's father answered, I'm listening. Richard Sterling was nothing like his son. Where Nathan was cold, Richard was warm. Where Nathan was guarded, Richard was open. He had the same gray eyes, but his held none of the ice. They held something else entirely, something that looked like hope. Emma sat across from him in a 24-hour diner in Brooklyn at 1:47 in the morning, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she couldn't drink. Start from the beginning, Richard said. Tell me everything. So Emma did. She told him about the restaurant, the $0 tip, the secret note, the warehouse test, the shipping logs, Marcus, the job offer, moving into the penthouse, Lucas's surgery, Victoria, the gala, the threat, the frame job, the stolen files, the $50,000, being dragged out by security while Nathan wouldn't even look at her, and Lucas, CPS taking Lucas, the foster care hearing in less than 12 hours. Richard listened without interrupting. His face grew darker with every word. When Emma finished, he was silent for a long moment. Victoria Vanderberg, he finally said. I warned Nathan about her. 2 years ago when they got engaged, I told him she was a snake. He didn't listen. Nathan doesn't listen to anyone, not since his mother died. Richard shook his head. He blames himself. He was 22 when it happened, just starting the company. He was so focused on work that he didn't notice she was sick. By the time he found her, he stopped, swallowed hard. She died waiting for a bed in a public hospital. Nathan had $100 in his bank account. He couldn't afford to get her into a private facility. He told me. He told you. Richard looked surprised. He never talks about Margaret, not to anyone. He told me the night before Lucas's surgery. We sat together all night. He held my hand. Richard studied her face. You love him. It wasn't a question. Emma didn't answer. She didn't have to. Show me your evidence, Richard said. Emma pulled out her phone, showed him the photographs, the courier receipt, the bank transfer timestamp, the security footage of Victoria walking through the penthouse at 3:15 a.m. Richard looked at each image carefully. This is good, he said, but it's not enough. What do you mean? Victoria is smart. She'll have explanations for all of this. The courier receipt, she'll say it was legitimate business documents. The bank transfer, she'll say Nathan authorized it. The security footage, she'll say she was checking on something in the office. It's all circumstantial. Then what do? You need the hard drive. What? The hard drive Victoria sent to Omnicorp. That's the smoking gun. If you can prove that hard drive contained the same files that were supposedly stolen from your computer, you can prove she had the information all along, that the theft was staged. How am I supposed to get a hard drive from Omnicorp? Richard smiled. It was Nathan's smile, but warmer. You're not. I am. You. David Morrison, the head of acquisitions at Omnicorp. We've known each other for 30 years. We were roommates at Yale. Richard pulled out his phone. He's going to be very interested to learn that his company has been receiving stolen property. You do that for me. I'm not doing it for you, Emma. I'm doing it for my son. Richard's eyes hardened. Nathan has been alone for too long. He's built walls around himself so high that no one can reach him. And then you came along. You climbed over those walls. You made him feel something. I haven't seen him like that since before Margaret died. He hates me now. He doesn't hate you. He's afraid. Afraid that you're not real. Afraid that if he lets himself believe in you and you turn out to be a fraud, it will destroy him. Richard reached across the table and took Emma's hand. Prove him wrong. Show him you're real. And I'll help you every step of the way. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We have a lot of work to do and very little time. Richard checked his watch. Your son's hearing is at 2 p.m. The board vote is in 3 days. We need to move fast. What's the plan? First, we get Lucas back. I have lawyers, good ones. They'll tear apart CPS's case. An anonymous complaint from a vindictive woman is not grounds for removing a child from his mother. And if the judge doesn't believe me, then we appeal. We fight. We don't give up. Richard stood up. But I don't think it will come to that. Victoria made a mistake. She acted too fast. She was so focused on destroying you that she didn't cover her tracks properly. What do you mean? The CPS complaint. It came from a phone registered to Sterling Industries. Victoria used a company phone to make a personal attack. That's a violation of at least 3 corporate policies. And it creates a paper trail. Emma's heart leaped. You can trace it. I already have. My tech people pulled the records an hour ago. The call came from Victoria's direct line at 6:23 a.m. yesterday. 3 minutes before you were fired. 3 minutes. Victoria had called CPS 3 minutes before Emma was thrown out. She had planned everything, timed everything, made sure Lucas would be taken while Emma was still being escorted out of the building. She's a monster, Emma whispered. She's worse than a monster. She's smart. Richard's jaw tightened. But she made one mistake. She underestimated you. And she definitely underestimated me. The custody hearing was at 2:07 p.m. Emma sat at the defendant's table, her hands folded in front of her, trying not to shake. Richard's lawyers sat on either side of her. 3 of them, all expensive, all confident. The CPS representative sat across the aisle looking uncomfortable, and in the gallery, watching with cold eyes, sat Victoria Vanderberg. She had come to watch Emma lose her son. The judge entered, an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. Judge Patricia Hammond. We're here regarding the emergency placement of Lucas Hartwell, age 5, Judge Hammond said. CPS, please present your case. The CPS representative stood. Your Honor, we received an anonymous complaint alleging child neglect and possible exploitation. The complaint stated that Mrs. Hartwell was living in the home of a man who was not her husband and was using her child's medical condition to extort money from wealthy individuals. And based on this anonymous complaint, you removed a child from his mother's custody. Standard procedure, Your Honor, when we have reason to believe a child may be in danger. An anonymous complaint is reason to believe a child is in danger. The CPS representative shifted uncomfortably. We also discovered that Mrs. Hartwell was recently terminated from her position at Sterling Industries. There were allegations of corporate espionage. We believed the instability. Allegations, Judge Hammond interrupted. Not convictions, not charges. Allegations. Yes, Your Honor. Richard's lead attorney stood. Your Honor, may I present evidence regarding the source of the anonymous complaint? Go ahead. The attorney handed a folder to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. This is a phone record from Sterling Industries. It shows that the anonymous complaint was made from a direct line registered to Victoria Vanderberg, the fiancée of Nathan Sterling. Ms. Vanderberg had a personal conflict with my client and made the complaint specifically to harm her. The judge looked at the phone records. Her expression darkened. Is Miss Vanderberg in the courtroom? Victoria stood up slowly. Her face was a mask of innocence. Your Honor, I don't know anything about a phone call. Someone must have used my line without my knowledge. At 6:23 in the morning. I'm often in the office early. So you admit you were in the office when this call was made? Victoria hesitated. I may have been. And you expect me to believe that someone used your personal line to make an anonymous complaint while you were sitting at your desk? I was in a meeting. Anyone could have. Miss Vanderberg. Judge Hammond's voice was ice. I've been a judge for 23 years. I've heard a lot of lies in that time. Yours isn't even a good one. Victoria's mask slipped. For just a moment, Emma saw the rage underneath. Your Honor, this woman is a con artist. She manipulated Nathan Sterling to get access to his money and his company. She's using her sick child as a prop. That's enough. Judge Hammond slammed her gavel. I've heard enough. The emergency placement of Lucas Hartwell is hereby vacated. The child is to be returned to his mother immediately. She looked at the CPS representative. And I want a full investigation into how your office handles anonymous complaints. This should never have happened. Yes, Your Honor. Judge Hammond looked at Emma. Her expression softened. Mrs. Hartwell, your son will be brought to you within the hour. I'm sorry for what you've been put through. Emma couldn't speak. The tears were falling too fast. Thank you, she managed. Thank you. Victoria stormed out of the courtroom without looking back. Richard's hand squeezed Emma's shoulder. One down, he said quietly. One to go. Lucas was in Emma's arms by 4:15 p.m. He looked tired, scared, but when he saw Emma, his face lit up. Mommy. Baby. Oh, baby. Emma held him so tight she was afraid she might break him. I'm here. Mommy's here. I'm never letting you go again. The foster lady was nice, Lucas said, but she didn't know anything about dinosaurs. Emma laughed through her tears. I know all about dinosaurs. I know. That's why I missed you. They stayed like that for a long time, just holding each other, just being together. Richard stood nearby, watching with a soft smile. Emma, he said finally, we need to talk about the next step. Can it wait? The board vote is in 2 days. Victoria is going to be desperate now. She knows you're fighting back. She's going to accelerate her plans. Emma looked at Lucas. His eyes were drooping. The stress of the last 24 hours was catching up with him. Can we go somewhere safe just for tonight, so Lucas can rest? I have a house in Connecticut. Private, secure. Victoria doesn't know about it. Richard pulled out his phone. I'll have my driver take you there. Get some rest. Tomorrow we plan our next move. What about Nathan? Let me handle Nathan. He needs time to process everything. But I think... Richard paused. I think he already knows he made a mistake. He just doesn't know how to admit it. Emma nodded. She was too tired to argue. Thank you, Richard. For everything. Thank you, Emma, for not giving up. He looked at Lucas, already asleep in Emma's arms. That boy is lucky to have you as a mother. I'm the lucky one. The drive to Connecticut took 2 hours. Lucas slept the entire way curled up against Emma's side. She watched his face in the passing streetlights, the color in his cheeks, the steady rise and fall of his chest. The surgery had saved his life. Nathan had saved his life. And Nathan thought she had betrayed him. The thought hurt more than anything Victoria had done, more than being fired, more than being accused, more than having her son taken away. Nathan believed she was a liar, a con artist, everything she wasn't, and she didn't know how to fix it. Richard's house was beautiful, old, quiet, the kind of place that had seen generations of happiness and sorrow. A housekeeper showed Emma to a guest room with a connected bedroom for Lucas. The beds were soft. The sheets were clean. It felt like heaven. Emma tucked Lucas in, kissed his forehead, watched him sleep until her eyes couldn't stay open anymore. Then she went to her own room and collapsed. She dreamed of Nathan, dreamed of his eyes, of his hands holding hers, of his voice saying, "I thought you were different." She woke up crying. It was 6:47 a.m. Her phone was buzzing. Unknown number. She answered. "Hello." Emma. Nathan's voice. Broken. Raw. "Emma, I'm sorry." She sat up so fast her head spun. "Nathan. My father called me. He showed me the evidence. The phone records. The courier receipt. The security footage." His voice cracked. "I should have believed you. I should have trusted you. But I was so scared that you weren't real, that you were just another person using me, that I... Nathan, it's okay. It's not okay. I let them take Lucas. I let Victoria win. I let you down. I'm getting Lucas back. The judge vacated the order yesterday." "I know. My father told me." Nathan was quiet for a moment. "Can you forgive me?" Emma closed her eyes. She thought about everything that had happened. The $0 tip, the secret note, the warehouse, the surgery, the gala, the betrayal. She thought about how Nathan had sat with her all night before Lucas's surgery, how he had held her hand, how he had told her about his mother. She thought about how he had looked at her in the boardroom, the pain in his eyes, the devastation. He hadn't wanted to believe Victoria. He had been forced to, because the evidence was overwhelming, because Victoria was smart, because Nathan had been hurt so many times that he expected to be hurt again. "Yes," Emma said. "I forgive you. I don't deserve it. Probably not, but I forgive you anyway." Nathan let out a sound that might have been a sob. "The board vote is tomorrow. Victoria has been working the board members all week. She has at least 4 votes locked up." "How many does she need?" 7 out of 12. She has 4. She needs 3 more. "And you?" "I have 3. Maybe 4 if Harrison comes through. The rest are undecided." "Then we have work to do." "We?" "Nathan, I didn't spend the last 3 weeks learning every detail of your company just to watch Victoria take it from you." Emma got out of bed, started packing her things. "Your father has a plan. He's meeting with David Morrison today. He's going to get the hard drive Victoria sent to Omnicorp. The hard drive? It's proof that Victoria had the stolen files weeks before they were supposedly taken from my computer. It proves the whole thing was staged." Nathan was silent for a moment. "You did this. You figured all this out." "I had help." "You figured it out because I threw you out, because I abandoned you, because I was a coward." "Nathan, I'm coming to Connecticut. We're going to finish this together." "What about Victoria?" Victoria is on the yacht. She thinks she's won. She's celebrating. His voice hardened. Let her celebrate. It's the last good night she's going to have for a long time. Nathan arrived at 10:23 a.m. He walked into the house and stopped when he saw Emma standing in the foyer. They looked at each other. Neither spoke. Then Nathan crossed the distance between them in 3 steps and pulled her into his arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I'm so sorry." Emma held him, felt his heart pounding against her chest, felt the tension in his shoulders, felt the fear and relief and regret all mixed together. "I know," she said. "I know." They stood there for a long time. "Mommy." Emma pulled back. Lucas was standing at the top of the stairs rubbing his eyes. "Hey baby, look who's here." Lucas looked at Nathan. His face lit up. "Nathan? Did you bring more dinosaurs?" Nathan laughed. It was a real laugh. Maybe the first real laugh Emma had ever heard from him. "Not this time, buddy. But I'll make it up to you. Promise? Promise." Lucas ran down the stairs and hugged Nathan's legs. Nathan looked at Emma over Lucas's head. His eyes were wet. "I missed you," Lucas said. "I missed you too, buddy." Richard arrived at noon with news. David Morrison came through. He had his IT team pull the hard drive Victoria sent. Richard spread a folder of documents on the dining room table. It contains the complete Omnicorp merger files, the same files that were supposedly stolen from Emma's computer on February 18th. But Victoria sent the hard drive on February 14th, Emma said, 4 days before the theft. Exactly. She couldn't have stolen files that she already had. So the theft was staged, Nathan said. She sent the real files to Omnicorp weeks ago. Then she staged a fake theft, framed Emma, and used the chaos to push for a board vote. And used my IP address to make it look like I sent the files, Emma added. But the security footage shows her in your office at 3:15 a.m. She was the one who sent them. She used my login credentials to authorize the bank transfer. Nathan said slowly. Made it look like I was complicit. If the board found out, they'd have grounds to remove you for cause. Richard finished. No golden parachute, no severance, just out. And Victoria would step in as interim CEO. How do we stop her? We present the evidence at tomorrow's board meeting, before the vote. Richard looked at Emma. But there's a problem. What? Victoria has security. She's been paranoid ever since the gala. She has people watching the boardroom. If she sees Emma before the vote, she'll know something is wrong. She might flee. Or worse, she might try to destroy the evidence. So, what do we do? Richard smiled. We give her what she wants. What does she want? She wants you gone, Emma. She wants Nathan alone and vulnerable. She wants to walk into that boardroom tomorrow and see Nathan defeated. And so we let her think she's won. Nathan goes to the meeting alone. Victoria will be overconfident. She'll present her motion for a vote of no confidence. She'll make her case. And then, Richard looked at Emma. And then you walk in with the evidence, right when she thinks she's about to win. Emma felt a smile spreading across her face. You want me to ambush her? I want you to destroy her, the same way she tried to destroy you. Nathan took Emma's hand. Can you do it? Emma thought about Victoria's face in the boardroom. The wink, the whispered threats, the cruelty. She thought about Lucas being dragged away by strangers, about the foster home, about the judge who almost took her son. She thought about Nathan's face when he thought she had betrayed him. Yes, Emma said. I can do it. The night before the board meeting, Emma couldn't sleep. She stood at the window of the Connecticut house, looking out at the darkness. Nathan found her there at 2:17 a.m. You should rest, he said. I can't. Nervous. Terrified. He came to stand beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. You know what I realized, Nathan said. What? That night in the warehouse, When you found the shipping discrepancies. I fell in love with you then. Emma's breath caught. You were covered in flour from the bread baskets. Your shoes were falling apart. You had mascara smudged under your eyes. And you looked at those shipping logs like they held the secrets of the universe. Nathan turned to face her. I've met thousands of people, Emma. Executives, politicians, celebrities. None of them have ever looked at anything with that kind of focus, that kind of determination. I was just trying to save my son. You were doing more than that. You were fighting. You were refusing to give up. You were being exactly who you are. He reached out, touched her face. That's when I knew. Knew what? That you were the one I'd been waiting for my whole life. Emma's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. Nathan. I know the timing is terrible. I know we're in the middle of a war. I know Victoria is still out there planning God knows what. He stepped closer. But I need you to know, whatever happens tomorrow, whatever happens with the board vote, whatever happens with Victoria, I love you. I have loved you since that night in the warehouse, and I will love you for the rest of my life. Emma looked into his eyes. Gray. Not cold anymore. Full of something that looked like home. I love you too, she whispered. Nathan kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was desperate and fierce, and full of everything they hadn't been able to say. When they finally pulled apart, Emma was shaking. Tomorrow? She said. After this is over. After Victoria is gone. After Victoria is gone? Nathan agreed. We start our real life. Promise. He kissed her forehead. Promise. The board meeting was scheduled for 9:00 a.m. At 8:45, Nathan walked into Sterling Tower alone. He looked defeated, broken. Exactly what Victoria wanted to see. Emma watched from a coffee shop across the street, Richard beside her. He's in, Richard said, checking his phone. Gregory confirms Victoria is already in the boardroom. She's been there since 7. She's eager. She thinks she's already won. Richard smiled. Let her think that. At 8:55, Emma stood up. Ready? Richard asked. No. Good. You shouldn't be ready. You should be angry. Emma thought about everything Victoria had done, everything she had tried to take. I'm angry, she said. Then let's go end this. They walked across the street, through the lobby, into the elevator. Emma's heart was pounding. Her hands were sweating. But she didn't waver. This was for Lucas, for Nathan, for everyone Victoria had ever tried to destroy. The elevator doors opened on the 47th floor. Gregory was waiting. They've started, he whispered. Victoria is presenting her motion now. Emma nodded. Show me the way. Gregory led them to the boardroom doors. Through the glass, Emma could see everything. 12 board members around a mahogany table. Nathan at the head looking broken. Victoria standing, gesturing triumphant. The breach of security by Mr. Sterling's former assistant has cost us the Omnicorp merger, Victoria was saying. Our stock has dropped 15%. Our reputation is damaged. This shows a catastrophic lack of judgment on the CEO's part. She placed her hands on the table. I move for a vote of no confidence in Nathan Sterling as CEO. All in favor. Hands started to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Victoria smiled. Any opposed? 3 hands went up. That's 7-3. With 2 abstaining. The motion. Emma pushed open the doors. I object, she said. Every head in the room turned. Victoria's face went white. Security, she screamed. Get her out of here. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Richard said, stepping into the room behind Emma. Not unless you want to be arrested along with her. Richard. Nathan stood up, playing his part perfectly. What's going on? What's going on? Emma said, walking toward the table. Is that Victoria Vanderberg has been lying to you, lying to all of you. She reached into her bag and pulled out the folder of evidence. This is a courier receipt dated February 14th. It shows that Victoria sent a hard drive to Omnicorp's head of acquisitions 4 days before the files were supposedly stolen from my computer. She dropped the receipt on the table. This is a phone record showing that Victoria called CPS from her company line to file a false report against me. She had my son taken away as part of her plan to silence me. She dropped the phone records. And this. Emma pulled out a USB drive. This is security footage from the Sterling penthouse. It shows Victoria entering Nathan's office at 3:15 a.m. on February 18th, the exact time the files were transmitted. She used my login credentials. She spoofed my IP address. She framed me for a crime she committed. The room was silent. Victoria was shaking. This is lies. This is fabricated evidence. She's a con artist. She's been manipulating Nathan from the beginning. Then explain the courier receipt, Emma said calmly. Explain how you sent files to Omnicorp before they were stolen. That was legitimate business. What business? You're not an employee. You're Nathan's fiancée. What legitimate business would you have sending hard drives to his competitor? Victoria's mouth opened, closed, opened again. No words came out. Emma looked at the board members. I know what you think of me. I'm a waitress. I don't have a degree. I don't belong in this world. But I know something about truth. I know something about fighting for the people you love. She looked at Nathan. And I know that Victoria Vanderberg has been playing all of you. She wanted Nathan's company. She wanted his money. She wanted everything he built. And she was willing to destroy anyone who got in her way. The lead board member, an older man with white hair, picked up the courier receipt. Read it carefully. Mrs. Vanderberg, he said slowly. Can you explain this? Victoria's composure finally cracked. You don't understand. Nathan was going to ruin everything. He was going soft. He was letting this waitress influence his decisions. The company needed strong leadership. It needed me. So you admit you sent the files to Omnicorp. I was protecting the company by selling confidential merger information to a competitor. Victoria realized her mistake, but it was too late. I want my lawyer, she said. You'll need one. The board member looked at Nathan. Mr. Sterling, I apologize. It seems we've been manipulated. The motion for a vote of no confidence is withdrawn. All in favor of withdrawing the motion. 12 hands went up. Every single board member. Victoria screamed. A raw animal sound of rage and defeat. This isn't over. I have contracts. I have rights. You can't do this to me. Actually, Nathan said, speaking for the first time, I can. You just admitted to corporate espionage in front of 12 witnesses. Our engagement is over. Your access to Sterling Industries is revoked, and the police are waiting in the lobby. Victoria looked around the room, at the board members who wouldn't meet her eyes, at Richard who was smiling, at Emma who stood tall, at Nathan who looked at her with nothing but contempt. You'll regret this, Victoria hissed. All of you. No, Emma said quietly. I don't think we will. Security led Victoria out of the boardroom. The doors closed behind her, and Emma finally let herself breathe. Nathan crossed the room in 3 steps, pulled her into his arms, kissed her in front of the entire board of directors. Someone started clapping. Then everyone was clapping. I believe, the lead board member said with a smile, we should discuss Mrs. Hartwell's official position at Sterling Industries. It seems we could use someone with her particular talents. Nathan looked at Emma. What do you say, want to stay? Emma thought about the journey that had brought her here. The $0 tip, the secret note, the warehouse test. Everything she had lost, everything she had gained. She thought about Lucas waiting for her at Richard's house, safe, healthy, alive. She thought about Nathan looking at her like she was the answer to every question he had ever asked. "Yes," she said. "I want to stay." Nathan kissed her again. Outside the boardroom windows, the sun was shining over Manhattan. A new day was beginning. Victoria was arrested in the lobby of Sterling Tower at 9:47 a.m. Emma watched from the 47th floor window as two NYPD officers led her to a waiting squad car. Even from this height, she could see Victoria struggling, fighting, screaming something at the cameras that had gathered outside. Nathan came to stand beside her. "She's claiming she was set up," he said. "That we fabricated the evidence, that she's the real victim." Will anyone believe her? No. David Morrison is cooperating fully. He's turned over everything Omnicorp received from her. Text messages, emails, the hard drive. Nathan's jaw tightened. She was planning to sell them our entire R&D portfolio next, $20 million worth of proprietary technology. For what? Money, power, revenge. He shook his head. "I don't think even she knows anymore. I think she just wanted to win." And now she's facing 15 to 20 years for corporate espionage, plus the CPS fraud charges, plus tampering with evidence. Nathan turned away from the window. "She's done, Emma. It's over." But Emma knew it wasn't over, not completely. "Marcus," she said. "What happens to him?" "He's cooperating with prosecutors, trading testimony against Victoria for a reduced sentence. He claims she blackmailed him into the shipping scheme, that she found out about his gambling debts and used them as leverage." "Do you believe him?" "I believe he's weak. I believe Victoria saw that weakness and exploited it." Nathan ran a hand through his hair. "He's still going to prison, just not for as long as he deserves." "And your sister?" Nathan's expression darkened. "Margaret won't speak to me. She blames me for Marcus's arrest, says I destroyed her family." "Nathan, that's not fair." "No, but it's not unexpected either." He tried to smile. It didn't quite work. "I told you. Family is complicated." Emma took his hand. "You still have family. Richard, Lucas." She squeezed his fingers. "Me." Nathan looked at her. Really looked at her. "Emma." "Yes. I want to ask you something, but I need you to know that whatever you answer, it won't change how I feel about you." Emma's heart started pounding. "What is it?" "The board voted this morning, unanimously. They want to offer you a position. A position. Chief Operations Officer, full salary, full benefits, a seat at the table." Nathan pulled an envelope from his jacket. "It's all here. The offer, the terms, everything." Emma took the envelope. Her hands were shaking. "COO Nathan, I don't have any qualifications. I don't have a degree. I was a waitress 3 weeks ago." "You have something better than a degree. You have instincts. You have integrity. You have the ability to see what everyone else misses." Nathan stepped closer. "You saved this company, Emma. You saved me. The board knows that. They want you. What do you want? I want you to say yes, but only if you want to. Only if this is the life you choose." He touched her face. "I don't want you to feel obligated. I don't want you to stay because you feel like you owe me something. I want you to stay because you want to be here. With me. With the company. With everything that comes next." Emma looked at the envelope in her hands. A job offer. A real career. Financial security for her and Lucas forever. 3 weeks ago, she was serving rich people expensive chicken and praying for tips. Now she was being offered a corner office in one of the most powerful companies in New York. "Can I think about it?" Nathan's face flickered with disappointment, but he nodded. "Of course. Take all the time you need." "I'm not saying no. I just need to talk to Lucas. This affects him too. I need to make sure he's okay with all of this. I understand. And Nathan? Yes. Whatever I decide about the job, it doesn't change how I feel about you. You know that, right? Nathan smiled. A real smile this time. I know. Emma went to Connecticut that afternoon. Lucas was in the garden with Richard chasing butterflies and laughing. The sound of his laughter hit Emma like a wave. Pure. Joyful. Alive. 3 weeks ago, she wasn't sure he would live to see his 6th birthday. Now he was running. Laughing. Being a normal little boy. Mommy! Lucas spotted her and came running. He crashed into her legs so hard she almost fell over. Grandpa Richard showed me a frog. It was so slimy. Grandpa Richard! Emma looked at Richard, who had the grace to look embarrassed. He asked what to call me. I suggested Richard. He countered with Grandpa Richard. The older man shrugged. I lost the negotiation. Emma laughed. It felt good to laugh. Lucas, baby, can we talk for a minute? About what? About what comes next. About where we're going to live. About some big changes. Lucas's face grew serious. He was 5, but he understood more than most adults gave him credit for. Are we going back to the old apartment? No, baby. We're never going back there. Good. I didn't like it there. It smelled funny and Mrs. Peterson's cat was mean. Emma knelt down so she was at his eye level. Lucas Nathan asked me to work for his company. A really important job. It would mean we'd live in New York. In a nice place. You'd go to a good school. We'd never have to worry about money again. Would Nathan be there? Yes. Would I get to see him? Yes. Every day. Lucas thought about this for a long moment. Then his face brightened. Would he teach me more about dinosaurs? I think he would teach you about anything you wanted to learn. Then I want to stay. Lucas hugged her. I like Nathan, Mommy. He makes you smile. You didn't smile very much before. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You noticed that? I notice everything. Like when you were sad, but pretended to be happy. Like when you skipped dinner so I could have more. Like when you cried at night when you thought I was sleeping. Emma pulled him closer. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry you had to see all that. It's okay, Mommy. You were fighting for me. I knew that. Lucas pulled back and looked at her with his father's eyes. Nathan fights for you now. That's good. Everyone needs someone to fight for them. Out of the mouths of babes, Emma kissed his forehead. I love you so much. I love you too, Mommy. Now can I go catch more frogs? Grandpa Richard says there's a big one by the pond. Go. Catch all the frogs you want. Lucas ran off, his laughter echoing across the garden. Richard came to stand beside Emma. He's a remarkable child. He's the best thing I ever did. I think Nathan would argue with that. Richard smiled. He called me this morning, 3 times, asking if you'd made a decision yet. What did you tell him? I told him to be patient, that you needed time. Richard's smile faded. But Emma, don't take too long. Nathan has spent his whole life afraid to hope, afraid to want things, afraid to let people in. You changed that. Don't let him fall back into old patterns. I'm not going anywhere, Richard. I just needed to make sure Lucas was okay. And Emma looked at her son, now knee-deep in pond water, shouting about something slimy. He's more than okay. He's happy. Then what's stopping you? Emma was quiet for a moment. Fear, she finally said. I'm afraid this isn't real. I'm afraid I'm going to wake up tomorrow and find out it was all a dream, that I'm still a waitress with bleeding feet and a dying son and no hope. That's not going to happen. How do you know? Because I've seen how Nathan looks at you. I've seen how you look at him. What you two have isn't a dream. It's not luck. It's not a fairy tale. Richard put his hand on her shoulder. It's real. It's hard-won. And it's yours if you want it. Emma thought about everything she had been through. The poverty, the fear, the endless nights of wondering if she would lose her son, the humiliation of serving people who looked right through her, the loneliness of raising a child alone with no one to help. And then she thought about Nathan. His cold eyes warming when he looked at her, his hands holding hers in the darkness, his voice saying, "I love you," like it was a prayer. She had spent her whole life fighting to survive. Maybe it was time to start fighting for something more. "I want it," Emma said. "I want all of it." Richard smiled. "Then go tell him." Emma drove back to New York that evening. Lucas fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from his frog-hunting adventures. Emma kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, watching the peaceful rise and fall of his chest. Her son was alive. Her son was healthy. Her son was going to grow up and have adventures and fall in love and make mistakes and live. Actually love. Because of Nathan. Because of a $0 tip and a secret note. Because Emma had been desperate enough to walk into a warehouse at midnight and meet a stranger. Life was strange. Life was terrifying. Life was beautiful. She pulled up to Sterling Tower at 8:17 p.m. Gregory was waiting in the lobby. "Mrs. Hartwell, Mr. Sterling is in his office. He's been there all day." "Is he okay?" "He's been staring at his phone for 6 hours. I believe he's waiting for something." Emma smiled. "I know what he's waiting for." She took the elevator up. Nathan's office door was open. He was sitting at his desk, his back to her, looking out at the city lights. "Nathan." He turned so fast he knocked over his coffee cup. "Emma." He stood up, papers scattered. He didn't seem to notice. "You're here?" "I'm here." "Does that mean—" "It means I talked to Lucas. I talked to your father. I talked to myself." Emma walked toward him. "And I made a decision." Nathan held his breath. "Yes," Emma said. "Yes to the job. Yes to the life. Yes to all of it." Nathan's face transformed. The walls came down. The ice melted. He looked young suddenly. Hopeful. Almost vulnerable. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He pulled her into his arms, held her so tight she could barely breathe. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for seeing me. That first night, when I was just a waitress with bleeding feet and a dying son. You saw something in me that no one else saw. I saw a fighter. I saw a survivor. I saw the most remarkable woman I've ever met." He pulled back to look at her. "And I saw my future. Nathan. Yes. I love you. I love you too." He kissed her. It was different from the first kiss. Less desperate. More certain. A kiss that said, "We have time now. We have forever." When they finally broke apart, Emma was crying. Happy tears. The kind she hadn't known she was capable of anymore. "There's one more thing," Nathan said. "What?" He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. Emma's heart stopped. "Nathan, it's only been 3 weeks. You don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I want to." He opened the box. Inside was a ring. Simple, elegant, a single diamond that caught the light like a captured star. "Emma Hartwell, you walked into my life with nothing but courage and a mother's love. You challenged me. You changed me. You saved me in ways I didn't know I needed saving. Nathan, I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow, or next month, or even next year. I'm asking you to let me spend the rest of my life proving that I deserve you. That I will never stop fighting for you the way you fought for Lucas. That I will never take for granted the gift you've given me." "What gift?" "Hope." His voice cracked. "I didn't have hope before you. I had money and power and success, but I didn't have hope. You gave me that. You gave me something to believe in." Emma looked at the ring, at Nathan's face, at the future stretching out before them like an unwritten story. "Yes," she said. "Yes, Nathan slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. I had it sized, he admitted. I may have borrowed one of your other rings when you weren't looking. Emma laughed. How long have you been planning this? Since the warehouse. Since you found the shipping discrepancies in 23 minutes. Since you looked at me with those eyes and told me you weren't relying on luck. He kissed her hand. I knew then. I've known ever since. You're crazy. Probably. But I'm your crazy now. Emma leaned into him. Let herself be held. Let herself believe that this was real. That this was hers. That after everything she had been through, she had finally found home. 6 months later, Emma stood at a podium in the grand ballroom of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The room was packed. Celebrities, politicians, business leaders, everyone who mattered in New York. But Emma wasn't nervous. She had faced worse than a crowd of rich people in fancy clothes. She had faced poverty. She had faced loss. She had faced Victoria Vanderberg. This was easy by comparison. Thank you all for coming tonight, she said. As you know, we're here to celebrate the launch of the Lucas Sterling Foundation. She paused to let the applause die down. 3 years ago, my son Lucas was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It's a rare condition, a fatal condition without surgery, and the surgery costs more than most families can afford. She looked at Nathan standing in the front row with Lucas on his hip. Lucas waved. She waved back. I was lucky. I found someone who believed in me. Someone who gave me a chance. Someone who paid for Lucas's surgery and gave him the life he deserved. Her voice grew stronger. But not everyone is that lucky. There are thousands of children in this country who need life-saving surgeries but can't afford them. Whose parents work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and still can't make enough to save their child's life. She gripped the podium. That ends tonight. The Lucas Sterling Foundation will provide full funding for pediatric cardiac surgeries for families who can't afford them. No application process, no means testing, no bureaucracy. If your child needs surgery and you can't pay, we will cover it. All of it. The applause was thunderous. Emma waited for it to quiet. This foundation is named after my son. But it's dedicated to every parent who has ever lain awake at night wondering if their child will survive. To every mother who has skipped meals so her children could eat. To every father who has worked until his body broke, trying to provide for his family. She found Nathan's eyes. And it's dedicated to the man who taught me that hope is more powerful than fear. That love is stronger than doubt. That one person with enough courage and enough determination can change the world. Nathan was crying. She had never seen him cry before. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for believing in this mission, and thank you for giving thousands of children the chance to live. She stepped back from the podium. The standing ovation lasted for 3 minutes. Afterward, when the cameras were gone and the guests had left, Emma found Nathan standing by the window looking out at the city. Lucas was asleep in a side room, exhausted from the excitement. Hey, Emma said, coming to stand beside him. You okay? Better than okay. He pulled her close. You were incredible up there. I learned from the best. Flattery won't get you anywhere, Mrs. Sterling. Emma smiled. They had gotten married 2 months ago. A small ceremony. Just family. Lucas had been the ring bearer. Richard had cried. It got me pretty far already. Nathan laughed. I suppose it did. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the lights of the city sparkle below them. Do you ever think about how different things could have been? Emma asked. What do you mean? If I hadn't come to the warehouse that night, if I had just taken the $0 tip and gone home, then I would have found another way. Nathan turned to look at her. I knew the moment I met you that you were special. If the warehouse hadn't worked, I would have tried something else. I would have kept trying until you gave me a chance. That's either romantic or stalker-ish. It's billionaire-ish. We're not used to hearing no. Emma laughed. I've noticed. But seriously, Emma, I believe we were meant to find each other. I believe that everything that happened, all the pain, all the struggle, all the loss, it was leading us to this moment, to this life, to each other. You sound like a fortune cookie. I sound like a man in love. He kissed her. When they broke apart, Emma looked at the ring on her finger. Then at the city below. Then at the door to the room where her son was sleeping healthy and whole and alive. Nathan. Yes. Remember what you wrote on that note, the one under the plate. You claim you'll do whatever it takes. Prove it. I proved it. You did more than prove it. You exceeded every expectation I ever had. He touched her face. You're the most remarkable person I've ever known. I was just a waitress. You were never just anything. Nathan's eyes held hers. You're Emma Sterling, mother, wife, Chief Operations Officer of Sterling Industries, founder of the Lucas Sterling Foundation, survivor, fighter, the woman who turned a $0 tip into a new life. Emma felt tears on her cheeks. She wasn't even embarrassed anymore. She had learned that tears weren't weakness. They were proof that you were alive, that you could feel, that you had fought hard enough to earn the right to cry. I love you, she said. I love you too. Forever. Forever. In the other room, Lucas stirred, called out for his mommy. Emma went to him, scooped him up, carried him to where Nathan was waiting. The three of them stood together at the window, looking out at the city that had once seemed so cold and impossible. The city where Emma had served food to people who never saw her, where she had walked home in the rain because she couldn't afford the bus, where she had cried herself to sleep wondering if her son would live to see another birthday. Now that city was hers, not because she had money, not because she had power, but because she had refused to give up, because she had kept fighting when everyone told her to quit, because she had walked into a warehouse at midnight and bet everything on a stranger with cold eyes and a secret heart. Mommy, Lucas said sleepily. Yes, baby. Are we home now? Emma looked at Nathan, at her son, at the ring on her finger, at the life she had built from nothing but courage and love. Yes, baby, she said. We're finally home. And they were. Not because of the penthouse or the foundation or the title on Emma's business card. They were home because they had each other, because they had fought for each other, because they had chosen each other every day, even when it was hard, even when it seemed impossible. That was the lesson Emma had learned. That was the truth Nathan had discovered. That was the gift they would give to every child saved by the Lucas Sterling Foundation. Hope isn't something you find. It's something you build, brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. And love isn't a feeling. It's an action. It's showing up. It's staying. It's fighting for someone even when they don't believe they're worth fighting for. Emma Hartwell had walked into La Maison d'Or with bleeding feet and a breaking heart. Emma Sterling walked out of the Metropolitan Museum with a foundation in her son's name and a future brighter than she had ever dared to dream. The $0 tip had been an insult. The secret note had been a test. But the love was real, and that made everything worth it. Every tear, every struggle, every moment of doubt, worth it. Because in the end, Emma learned the most important lesson of all. Your worth isn't measured by the tips you receive, or the money in your bank account, or the address on your driver's license. Your worth is measured by how you fight, by how you love, by how you refuse to give up on the people who matter most. Emma Hartwell had been a waitress with nothing. Emma Sterling was a woman with everything. And it all started with a billionaire, a $0 tip, and 7 words on a secret note. You claim you'll do whatever it takes. Prove it. She had proven it, and she would keep proving it, every single day, for the rest of her life.